Good morning. Welcome to the first Women in Homeland Security Emergency Management Leadership Forum. That's a mouthful. I'll probably just call it HSEM from now on today. My name's Bridget Guerrero. We welcome you here to Lakewald. A couple things. There's going to be a few more people coming in as we're speaking this morning, so help them navigate up to the front. Unfortunately, they're going to have to come right up here to the front and sit. I'm sure that's uncomfortable. Next housekeeping note is there is Wi-Fi available to you today, and if you want to connect, first I'll leave this sheet up here by the projector, but if you want to write down the password is all lowercase, no spaces, welcome 1905. I'm guessing that's when maybe the property was built. Welcome 1905, and then apparently it'll take you kind of to a login page, and you have to click conference, okay? So if you have a hard time connecting to that, let me know and we'll go over that again. If you need it later, it's right up here by the computer. Okay, we are ready to kick it off today. Welcome, ladies. Feel free, there's some spots up here if you need them. Okay, I know I am really excited to be here today. When you talk about people that you're attracted to, like to meet, I always like to meet people who are not afraid to stand apart from a group, who kind of can be themselves and can pursue their own interests, kind of really hard. And but a group of 42 women would take their day off, or a day off of work, or some people I know are off shift today in their respective jobs, and they've chosen to come here to work on personal and professional development. I think that's really cool. You could be home working on a problem, your checklist of things that need to be done at home, but you've dedicated the time today to working on your own professional development. So welcome. It's awesome to have you here. Our goal, the conference committee's goal, is for you to go home re-energized, refocused, and also exhausted. We want you to think about all the opportunities that exist out there for you that you haven't even thought of or didn't even know about. And there's this network of people here today who can help you, who are the face of those opportunities. And you might find that you're interested in taking your career in a slightly different direction in this field because of the people you've met today, or you may strengthen your resolution to rise up as a leader in the field. So if you look around today, more than 1/3 of the women here have been in the Homeland Security and emergency management field for some period of time, and they've demonstrated their leadership capabilities there. So there's a lot of mentees here, but there's a lot of mentors here who have chosen to be here because they're inspired by you and they want to inspire you and support you. It's a really neat dynamic that we're going to experience today. So take advantage of it, okay? There's no question that you can't ask. We are filming the first 2 sessions today and the lunchtime speaker, so if you're not comfortable being recorded while asking kind of a personal question, there's opportunities later at the round tables for doing that. Take notes as we're going today. The round table is an opportunity for you to throw anything out there. So we look forward to hosting that later today. For those who don't know it, this event is sponsored by the Homeland Security Center of Excellence. And if you're not familiar with that system, there are 10 centers of excellence in Washington State. They support the industries that support the growth of our economy. There's agriculture and computer science. There's Homeland Security is one of the topics, and it's resident at Pierce College. So Pierce College was generous enough to host this event today. This event on leadership development could be hosted for anyone. It could be hosted for men or women. We happen to represent a minority in the field, and so Pierce College decided to focus on supporting our growth in the field today, which is really exciting. Now, I want you to make a promise to me. I think that when we've all navigated through a field in which we're a minority, sometimes you can get frustrated. Sometimes things can feel uphill. we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about that today. We're going to talk about the positive opportunities that are out there for all of us. We will discuss some of the challenges we've experienced, because that's part of life, and dealing with those challenges is really important. But let's talk about all the incredible opportunities that there are for us. And these ladies here have lots of material to help stoke that conversation. And along with Pierce College hosting, where's Kelly? Kelly, could you stand up for a second? Kelly put on this entire conference for us today, so I'd like to give her a round of applause. When I met Kelly earlier this summer, I asked about her background and how she got here. I thought she'd been in the field for a while, and she said, I'm pretty new to this. She said, I just got my associate's degree in business information technology and my Homeland Security certificate. She did all of that in the last year, and she's now in a bachelor's program and intends to get her master's degree as well. All the while, she's been interning at the Homeland Security Center of Excellence, and she really told me that the mentorship that she's received there has helped her really define what she wants to do. So just another example of being here in this supportive environment can help you get a clear view of your future. So she is amazing. And Kelly, thanks for setting that up for us today. You know, we're talking about leadership today. We can talk about being a good manager, and then you kind of bump it up to this different level of leadership, which is not in everybody's bag. And so we're going to talk about all of that today, and you can help determine, who you want to be. If you want to be a strong manager, but not an incident commander in a leadership role like that, that's great. Leadership takes many forms, and you have an opportunity to develop what leadership means to you. So a lot of this topic is amorphous. But before we start, I think it's important that I talk to you about my career path, and I want to give you some sort of observations that I've picked up along the way and things I'd love to pass on to people who are entering the field. I started out as my professional career as a Marine Corps officer. I was a communications officer, and I ran for the Marine Corps too for 10 years. And so as a runner, you kind of got a little bit more notice going overseas and running for the Marine Corps all the time. And as I was a captain or almost a major, I was at a school called Amphibious Warfare School, and I one day was pulled out of class to meet some guys in civilian clothes. Now, I had grown up in the military as a military officer, and I was, wondering who the heck these guys were that showed up. Well, they invited me to try out for an Army Special Mission Unit, and I thought, they couldn't really tell me much about it. They told me the person who referred me to it, though, and so I thought, well, I trust him, and I trust they know who I am, and so I'm going to give it a shot. I really went into this completely blindly, but I was really fit, and I was a Marine, so I was kind of cocky when I was younger. So anyway, I went to this selection course, and there were a handful of women, and there were a bunch of guys, and each morning, out in the desert in the western part of the U.S., we'd wake up each morning after navigating from one point to another, and then we'd have to come together, and there'd be fewer people there. So they would pull people through the night. And at the end, I realized I was the only woman left. And there were about 24 guys left. And for the next 4 years, I had an incredible career. I got to be the first female military free-fall parachutist for the Marine Corps. I went to demo school, did all sorts of SEER training. It was awesome. And I've actually never talked about that to a group before, because there was really no reason to introduce yourself at length. I think it's important today because I want to tell you that it was also probably the hardest 4 years of my life. The guys that I went through the selection course with became probably my best friends. And then we were introduced to the unit. And those guys didn't want a woman there. And so we went in and we were introduced, and it was like crickets. And I thought, oh, shit. I thought it was hard to make it through. What I realized was I hadn't even started. And for the next couple years, I'm an eager to please person too. I hate it if people don't like me. And some of these guys did not want to like me. And I finally realized I didn't care. I just had to do my job, and I had to do it well. And if they didn't like me, I was doing the right thing, whatever. And, that was such an incredible development experience for me. And, I look back on it, and I'm thankful for that experience now. After that, I went to work at the Pentagon, and then a little bit later, 9/11 happened. What do you know? Those same guys called me back, the guys I hated. And they asked me to come back to Department of Homeland Security and stand up the Intel Operations Center there with them. And so we did. And for the next couple years, we helped map processes. 22 federal agencies came under one roof at the stroke of a pen, with no processes, no protocols, no relationships with other federal agencies. And so we mapped as many processes as we could. I did current or emergent threat intelligence work there, so all the new threats coming in. And for those of you who know, I am married to an FBI agent. I actually met him because I got in a fight with the FBI over the analysis of a threat and whether we had to alert the nation or not. And I had to go see Secretary Ridge's FBI rep to work out this problem, and that's how I met my husband. But it was great because we worked really well together for the next couple years, and it was a great experience. Later, I actually chose to leave my job to follow my husband overseas. He had a lot more years than I did, and we went to Romania and Turkey, and I had other leadership opportunities there. I had the opportunity to either drop from a GS-15 to a nothing and work as a secretary in the embassy, or strike out on my own. So I said goodbye to my government job. I couldn't see how my skills and talents could benefit that kind of a position. And so I met a group of nuns, and they taught me how to develop a nonprofit for refugees and asylum seekers. And I did that in Romania. We moved to Turkey, and when we moved to Turkey, I found out that the Turks were hostile towards refugees and asylum seekers. So I knew the nuns would come kill me if I didn't do anything while I was in Turkey. So I started a nonprofit there that's still running today through the support of the UN. And lots of leadership challenges there in getting a hostile host nation to support the development of a nonprofit. So that was a really cool experience too. Came back here and worked for Catholic Community Services for a while, and then realized my heart is in supporting social justice initiatives, but I love the security world. So I started ventured into a new industry I know nothing about, and that is my own business earlier this year, doing private investigations and Homeland Security consulting. So that's who I am. I have lots of leadership challenges along the way in that experience. And I welcome any of you to come up and talk about that if you're interested in not just the emergency management side, but infrastructure protection, information analysis, policy, anything like that. If you're interested in those topics, feel free to join me later. And each of the ladies that it's on the panel is going to talk about their journeys as well. So that if any of those areas pique your interest, grab those people and grab those business cards today. So, who else is here today at our forum? You'll see that 32% of the women here in the room are serving as mentors, and 68% are mentees. We're all being mentored all the time by each other, right? But 32% of the women have been in this field for a while. And that means private sector, federal, state, local, government, and academia. So you've got it all here. This is awesome. Okay, and then the affiliation of the attendees. As you can see the breakout here, we have a lot of people from DOJ, Bureau of Prisons, FBI. We have state and locals here. Who's here from SCORE Jail? Oh, I want to talk to you more about it later. I want to hear about your work. So awesome. Private sector is represented. Erica hooked me up this morning. I did not have the right connector for my computer, even though I asked Kelly, and I thought, I'm good. And then I forgot I bought a new computer. Didn't check for a VGA connection. So from Microsoft, a continuity of operations type person, and she had everything I needed. So thank you. And then we have a large group of people representing academia. And a lot of the people that are, I hate kind of stovepiping us, as Wendy said, and Curry, because a lot of people here have actually worked in all of those areas. So you're going to hear about that today. So let's see. Oh, you know, it's also important to talk about this, chaos. A lot of people, as I mentioned, may be cut out to be strong managers. You may be great at paperwork, you may be great at project management, and go for it. That's awesome. But if you want to bump it up to leadership or go in that area, not bump it up, but go that way, you've got to be comfortable in chaos. And so for you who are new entering the field, if the idea of being a leader scares the hell out of you, awesome. Like scares you in a thrilling way, awesome. If it scares you in not a thrilling way, maybe you want to be that strong manager. But today we're talking about leadership. And open your mind, even if you're scared about that idea, open to the possibility. Because leaders are born, but they're developed. You know, you got to have some of that interest in you, but you got to really develop those skills. And don't let anybody stop you in the pursuit of it if you're interested in doing it, okay? Okay, so a couple things that I want to mention on leadership development that I've experienced is gain experience in as many areas as possible. I was joking with the panelists a little while ago because we were talking about how circuitous our career paths have been. And I think really strong leaders have those circuitous paths. They were interested in this area. Then they either chose a different area because they thought they were more interested or it would complement their work. You know, my husband and I talk about that all the time to people entering the field. We mentor a lot of students. And, you know, some people think to get to the top, they need to go in this line. To us, you're a stronger person if you actually take some of these experiences. In the Homeland Security field, for example, the more well-versed you are in the breadth of issues, the more you understand how you fit into the bigger picture. And you can actually be a much stronger leader like that. Work harder than your colleagues, but maintain grace. I think that you need to set high expectations for yourself, and we may sometimes complain that we're under more of a microscope. This is where I don't want to go too much into being negative. You know, sometimes we feel like because we are a minority in the field, we're under a microscope. Welcome that microscope. You know, stand tall and be strong because you're well educated and you're experienced and you're motivated. If you don't know anything about the field, you're willing to learn, you're willing to do anything, any of the less attractive jobs to show that you're part of the team. You know, Wendy Freitag, who's sitting down here at the panel, works at the Homeland Security Center of Excellence. And she stood up and volunteered herself at the Emergency Operations Center for the duck incident, North Seattle tragedy 2 weeks ago. And she went in, and before she knew it, she was operating at times as the de facto chief of staff. They needed her. Her experience and skills lent itself to supporting that topic, and she stood up and did it. They were long hours, and she had work that's piled up back here, but she took that opportunity. And maintaining grace is the important thing. Find a mentor. I have to say that a lot of the mentors that I've actually looked to have been males. It doesn't have to be a female. I've always picked the people who I think are the best in the field and open to providing me guidance and support. But there's a lot of people today who can serve as mentors to each other. We need to support each other, and that's why we're here. Then, know the qualities that are needed in your industry and work on them. You know, really, if you are interested in entering one of the let's say I worked this summer as a wildland firefighter in Nevada. And, if you want to be a wildland firefighter, you have to be able to exceed the physical requirements for the job. If you're really smart, but you can't exceed the physical requirements, you're not going to impress anybody in that job. And so for a lot of you who are entering entry-level positions, you need to be able to do all the aspects of the job. And just remember that. Be fair to yourself that it's going to be a hard road if you're neglecting parts of the job in developing yourself. And let's see. The last one, be authentic. You know, you've got to be who you are. If you're trying to be someone else, you're not going to succeed here. People are going to spot that right away. You know, a lot of us who are here today are tough and brazen. What the hell? Embrace it. Be it. If you're, and maintain grace. That's what we have to do too. But just know your organization, know your mission, and work hard on that. Be your best you. And so I want to talk for a minute before I close this piece about one of the most impactful female Department of Homeland Security leaders that we've had in our history, and that's Secretary Napolitano. I didn't get to serve under her. I was with Secretary Ridge. But for those of you who are younger, she served as the secretary from 2009 to 2013, and she was also the governor of Arizona before that. She's now the president of the California University System. She just wrote an article for LinkedIn that I came across as I was preparing for this, and I think it's important to read you a page or so of her article. She says things better than I do about leadership, and that is, the year I was elected Arizona's first woman attorney general, 1998, all 5 statewide elected offices from governor to superintendent of public instruction were won by women for the first time in U.S. history. The pundits dubbed us the Fab Five. Not long after, a magazine published an election feature entitled Weird Things from the 1998 Election. This included Jesse Ventura and the Fab Five. 5 candidates who happen to be women coming into office together isn't that weird, it's wonderful. But the fact others saw it as weird underscores the persistent problem that still stubbornly lies before us more than 15 years later. Whole swaths of our economy have virtually no women in leadership positions. If we don't draw on our best people across gender, race, ethnicity, socioeconomics, we undermine the strength of our economy and our society. I'd say look to Pakistan and other countries at how they're undermining themselves too. That's my editorial comment. Okay, are the numbers so low because women are less qualified to lead? No. One reason the numbers are low is that we subtly send messages to women that they shouldn't be leaders. Starting when they're girls, we do too good a job at squelching the innate ability, or perhaps the innate ambition, of women to lead. Yes, there is a glass ceiling, but women absorb the message, then edit themselves out of the equation. If you want to be a leader, you have to have the courage to believe that you can be one. Believing is the first requirement of achieving. Then, and this is just as important, you need the courage to get in the game. So, rounding back to that first question, does this idea of leadership thrill you and scare you in a good way? If so, set your goals and freaking go for it. And if not, be open to it today. Listen, you may see that it's in there and you just didn't know it. All right, that's the opening. That's it. That's everything I have to dump. Thanks. Those are just some starting points for us to think about. And then we're going to take a 5-minute break for you to please get to know the people at your table and get some refreshments. And when we come back, we're going to dig deep into their brains for some nuggets of information. All right.